Frank, when you think Fairway, you think fresh. Is that the winning culture you've tried to create?
Penelope Pineapple, what an unbelievable produce performance. How does your team stay so fresh?
Sunkissed Orange. Is it true Fairway has offered the freshest produce in town since 1938?
What can we say? Our produce is so fresh, we're speechless.
Spring is here. It's time to start thinking about family fun in the outdoors. This is Chris Williams promoting my good friends at Plaza RV in Bondurant. I've now bought 2 travel trailers from this locally owned company in the past 5 years. It's completely changed my family's life. We love spending time in the outdoors, tailgating, and most of all, being together. Camping has been an awesome escape for us, and I would encourage you to think about it as well. Head over to their lot in Bondurant. They have motorhomes, travel trailers, truck trailers, fifth wheels, and more. Check them out today at PlazaRV.com. They're 100% locally owned. Tell them that Chris Williams sent you.
The Be Funny Tour.
I mean, Chuck E. Cheese is rough. I don't know if you've been there in a while. They look like they're trying to go to business and they can't.
All new material.
They filed for bankruptcy and they're still open. They called Blockbuster and they're like, how do you get out? We want out.
Nate Bargatze.
Saturday, May 18th, Wells Fargo Arena. Tickets available at HighVTix.com or the box office.
Don't miss Nate Bargatze. The Be Funny Tour.
Produced by Outback Presents.
2 guys, 2 Chris's, 1 network. Iowa everywhere. It's time for 2 Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
Welcome to today's program here on 2 Guys. It is the 18th of April.
You're already chuckling again.
I got the chuckles. You can just call me Chuckly McChucks. How are you today? I can't get my camera to work today. It's just a disaster. So I'm on the old school camera. I'm sorry. I look probably look all blurry.
You look good. You look good with a soft focus. Like some of those old actresses needed back in the day. Give me that soft focus. You don't want to see my wrinkles, my cigarette wrinkles. No, it's all right.
Yeah. Man, people used to just smoke all the time. Could you imagine back in the day, Randy Peterson's told me stories that they just openly just be smoking packs of cigarettes in the press box, drinking beer.
Oh, yeah. They're probably smoking, sitting courtside at Hilton Coliseum back in the 70s. Players just running through clouds of smoke.
Welcome to the program. We are presented, as always, by Fairway Meat and Grocery. We are in the Channel Seed Studios. Rainy day here in the state of Iowa. I was thinking about all the seedsmen who are wanting to get out to spread their seed all over this great land that is the state of Iowa. We hope you guys are doing well. If you've already got out in the fields, we have a packed show today, believe it or not. We got a lot to get to. This Caitlin Clark WNBA thing is kind of taking on a life of its own. We've got weird questions being asked to her in press conferences. We've got people yelling at one another. We've got Iowa football wide receivers transferring. We have Iowa football getting transfers in the portal, or Iowa basketball, men's and women's. Just a lot going on. Where do you want to start today, Hassel? Where do you want to dive in?
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
We have to litigate Van Winkle and the whole library.
Well, let's welcome Van Winks back. It's been a while.
Hey, boys. Good to
Maddie.
see you again. Been a while.
How's the family trip to California?
Yeah, I show up to the studio yesterday, Hassel, and Williams goes, "How was Florida?" Shows how much he cares about me.
Williams really thought you were in Florida?
Yeah, how was Florida, man?
They both have oceans.
You know,
it was good.
That would be Jesus. And he even knew that you were able to visit your father's grave for the first time.
I knew
too.
it was.
My God,
it was a brain fart. Cut me some slack.
We were doing the show the other day. I think we were talking about jerking off, and Williams goes, "Oh, and I just wanted to say, we'll get back to jerking off in a second, but it was great to see that Van Winks was able to visit his father's grave for the first time."
Yeah, I was listening with my wife in the car the other day, and she was not too fond of the profanity. I'll just say that, with the kids in the back seat. So maybe that's bad parenting by me, but she turned you guys off twice.
You just never know when you'll hear a random F-bomb. I think that's the genius behind our show, is we could go multiple shows without saying anything, that could get us in trouble if we were on the radio. Mm-hmm. But then, boom, one day, we're talking F-bombs, we're talking jizz.
You guys were you were extra loose there on Monday. You guys were having a good time.
Were we?
Yeah. I wasn't there to keep you guys on the rails.
Mallory, is she upset with me? Because, I see Mallory around the neighborhood a lot, bump into her at dance. We're softball coaches together. Do I have to be on pins and needles when I'm around Mallory?
No, I think she was more concerned about the young ears in the back than anything.
Oh.
Has she accepted my dad's Facebook friend request yet?
No, that won't happen.
I think she hates all Hassels. She clearly doesn't like me, doesn't listen to the show. Then when she does, she gets pissed at me. She calls me weird, dumb,
she needs to meet
stupid.
We just need to go hang out at the Hassel pool, the casita.
My dad tries to extend the olive branch on Facebook, and she's all creeped out by it. God.
Keith makes an interesting point here. He's watching on YouTube. He says Two Guys is not exactly family-friendly material, but I'm cool with that. Do we want?
Do we need another family-friendly?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm
outlet?
At too.
We need a safe space where we can be ourselves.
Yeah, someone said, "Has your wife ever listened to the show?" And I can say in confidence, she has never listened to a show. And she's probably heard a little. She's probably listened to little bits.
Turned it off.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get to the bottom of a few different things with Van Winks later on in the show.
I got more details. Because Hassel, at the core of all this, I am a journalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am a professional journalist, and I asked around town about the whole library situation with the eclipse. I got a few more details.
Okay.
I brought the receipts. I got rock solid proof to defend myself, so I can't wait for this.
It's not just that, though. There's other things, like poor Simon Wilson, who won a contest to win one of our Death Trap caps. He says he never got the hat. He was the first one to get a bingo on the Two Guys bingo card. He sent us a tweet last night, starting to think the hat is like the Fairway meat box, never going to be sent, is it?
Wow.
And Van Winks said, I forgot. Not only that, but everyone's wearing these sweet new Iowa Everywhere rope cap lids. I haven't seen mine.
Hey, Aiden, come on into the show here real quick. Aiden,
what's up?
You need to get Hassel a hat in the mail. Can you handle that for me?
Yeah, you can do that.
Can you handle that? Don't let him down, because if you do, he's going to talk about it for 2 years. Do you understand me, young man? He will not stop talking about it.
Nice. Williams, you can delegate now.
I'm delegating now.
I feel like, based on the comments, we need to start with the creepy exchange yesterday between Greg Doyle of the Indy Star and Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
That was kind of the talker yesterday, and it went national, and people were piling on. I saw it earlier on in the day, like kind of right after it happened, and it was like, what? What? What is that? That's so weird. And what made it weirder, I think, was the fact that he wasn't on camera. I don't know. Maybe if he was on camera, it would have been even worse. But you couldn't see him, and all you saw was Caitlin's reaction. I think we have that, don't we?
Yeah.
Hi.
Caitlin, Greg Doyle, Indy Star. Real quick, let me do this.
You like that?
I like that you're here. I like that you're here.
I do that at my family after every game, so.
Okay, well, let's
cool.
start doing it to me and we'll get along just fine. So, question is.
And then uncomfortable laughter. Look, he has, I think, somewhat apologized for it. Because it did.
He wrote a whole column about it.
It can't, and I didn't read the column. I didn't read any of his columns. I know of him. I mean, this guy is used to be a national writer. He still writes a lot of stuff that goes national.
This guy's really well respected within the industry. I mean,
yes, but has a lot of haters. I mean, there are people that were ready to pile on.
He's like,
but it's just so weird.
Yeah, well,
and the way that
bizarre. You're right.
And the way that Caitlin reacted to it too. Like, I'm sure he was thinking, okay, I'm going to make this heart thing, and she's going to do it too. And then we're going to get this photo op. She's going to be doing the heart thing in front of the Indiana Fever logo, and then that'll get us laughing. And it did not go over well. And I can't imagine being in that situation and doing that. Like, how did he really think it was going to go? And how is it worth it?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, would he ever do that to Tyrese Halliburton?
Right, and that's why a lot of people had a problem with it, because she's a female, and it came across like he was
like hitting on her.
Yeah, just being weird to a young female. Now he did apologize afterwards. I think he probably said all the right things after. At that point, you just have to fall on your sword. Just say, look, didn't come across as I wanted it to. I apologize to Caitlin. I'm embarrassed. Not going to happen again.
Yeah, I don't think that his column probably made anything better. I did read it because
I don't know that he needed to write a whole column on it. He just needed to apologize and leave it, move on.
I wonder what Caitlin thought.
The way she reacted to me almost made it seem like she thought he was kind of making fun of it or making light of it a little bit. She's like, "Oh, you like that? Yeah, I do that to my family after every game. It's cool."
I don't know. I'm trying to think through, and I don't know Greg Doyle at all, so it's hard for me to. I just come back to, it's like he would never do that to a player for the Pacers. So, and that's the issue here. A lot of people are saying that he wrote that column to get clicks. Like, I don't believe that. Like, I don't know Doyle. I don't think that I'm guessing that this guy, I think you're right, didn't come off well at all. He knew he screwed up, and I'm guessing he overcompensated and was like, oh my, I'm guessing that he had like the worst professional day of his life yesterday, and he overthought it, and then was like, oh, or maybe he had an editor too who told him to write an apology column. I don't know.
Perhaps, yeah. Now
that's very possible. I don't think it was like, oh, I'm going to cash in on this. Like,
I don't think in any way that his job should have been in jeopardy because of this. Like, I've seen that from some people. Like, this guy should be fired. No, I don't believe that. I don't think this rose to that level. I don't think he was trying to be creepy and weird. It just came across that way. It was so bizarre. Now, some people are saying, look, it's not the first time he's done something like this, blah, blah, and I don't know. I don't know his whole backstory. I just know he's well respected in the industry, but he has a lot of haters out there among the common folk.
He reminds me, like, just his writing. I'm not talking about him as like a dude, because I love Sean Keeler. He's a buddy of mine. But here, like, Keeler had haters all over the place when he wrote for the Des Moines Register. It's because he blew people up all the time. That was his job. He gave opinions. And that's what Doyle is. Mm-hmm. Do you remember all the way back with the Wayne Morgan D1 scheduling scandal thing? Like, Doyle was the one who was partly responsible for Wayne Morgan getting fired at Iowa State. Yeah. Yeah, he was the national columnist that unearthed all that. And it wasn't a big deal, but it became such a Doyle just kept writing about it and kept writing about it. He was like public enemy number one for Iowa State fans there for about 2 years. Yeah, I don't really have much more of an opinion on it other than like I hope that he can, and maybe Caitlin doesn't want to meet with him, but like I don't believe he wrote this column to get clicks. I keep seeing people like I'm guessing that guy is just kind of a fairly clunky and awkward dude when it comes to just talking to people in general. It seems like that to me. And he really, really, really whiffed here, and it was totally inappropriate. And again, like I go back to the point, it's like he's never doing that to Tyrese Halliburton, so don't do it to Caitlin Clark.
Why does everything surrounding Caitlin Clark,
I was
no
going to make
fault
this
of her
point.
own,
I was going to make this point too,
become so polarizing? Everything
whether she's involved with,
even going to the WNBA, the ratings for the WNBA draft, and then you got people come out and they're like, well, it's not just because of Caitlin Clark, because it was Angel Reese was there and Cameron Brink was. Yeah, okay. And then you have the Greg Doyle situation. You have the shoes. You know, she gets the Nike deal, and then people are upset because, well, why hasn't Asia Wilson had a shoe deal before Caitlin Clark? Why is Caitlin Clark the one that gets the first big shoe deal among all of the great women's players?
And then you had the whole thing with all these great women's players that came before her who were talking down to her. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but it's really bizarre. But I guess that just, to me, Chris, it just shows her greatness. Not even as a basketball player, but just as like a cultural icon.
Mm-hmm.
Is if she wasn't that, right? Like if she wasn't that, then this stuff wouldn't follow her around. Like I'm sorry, and I know that this doesn't hit well with many people in our audience, but it's my passion, which is NASCAR. And it's like Jimmy Johnson won 7 championships and nobody ever talked about him. Right? Like he's one of the
And if they did
greatest.
talk about him, it was he's just too boring. He's not a good old boy.
But then and then you have Earnhardt, who could sneeze and it was news, and like it, because he had that like cultural iconic like thing along with the winning. And there are other women's players that have done amazing things for that game, and as Caitlin has noted multiple times, she wouldn't be where she is if it weren't for them, and they paved the way for her. But nobody has captivated the national, and not even national, worldwide audience. I mean, Nike's a worldwide brand, right? Like she has. And why is that? I mean, personally, I think it's the logo 3s, and like she started doing things that we hadn't really seen from the women's game. And then there's a personality side of her that people really either like or don't like. But to me, that's what makes her so compelling, is because not everybody likes her, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and Earnhardt was that way, where you either loved him or he wrecked your driver all the time.
Either way, you're going to watch. You're going to be interested, whether you love her or you want to see her fail.
Yes. And, like, you didn't get that with, like again, I'll keep with my comparison. Like, when Jimmy Johnson was just out there winning these champions, he's just this guy. He's got a really clean haircut, pretty wife, perfect kids. He looked like an Abercrombie model. Like, there weren't layers there where – like, I don't like Caitlin. Like, to me, the layers that make her so compelling is, she hit that logo 3 and now she's talking shit all the way down the court. Like, it's this whole like combination that we've never seen before, and it's captivated the world. And and it creates a lot of jealousy. I don't know. I was lying in bed last night thinking about this conversation that we were going to have, and I had the same thing, man. Like, God, everything she's involved with gets people pissed off.
Well, even the simplest thing, which is just facts about the WNBA, even that gets people fired up. When Caitlin is taken number one, and then somebody throws the tweet out there, this is going to be her salary for the next 4 seasons, and it's $79,000 to start. And you have two different sides. You have the people that are stunned by this, and then you have the people that say, well, this is, understand that this is what it is, because the WNBA hasn't had its breakthrough yet. It's going to. It's happening now, and it's going to. Caitlin Clark, and to a lesser extent, some of the other stars that are being made in women's college basketball, like Angel Reese, like
she can't do it alone.
Juju.
She's got to have rivals. She's got to have. Yeah, go. Sorry, I interrupted. I apologize.
What drives me nuts is that no matter what you say, you're going to be attacked. Like if you say, "Oh my God, that's 76,000. That's such a low number for somebody who's going to make such a huge impact and bring so much more money to the WNBA." Well, then you get attacked by the people who have been following the WNBA all these years and say, "Where the hell have you been?"
Yeah,
this is what it is. She'd get paid more if you would have invested before this. But now you're just coming in because of Caitlin Clark. I am full disclosure. I have no shame in saying I have never been a fan of the WNBA. I know about the WNBA. I've watched games. I've never been a real fan of the WNBA. I've never been like a habitual watcher of the WNBA. But Caitlin Clark and others might change that. I'm not going to apologize for that. Like that's just, I wasn't interested until now. And that's how a lot of people are going to be. A lot of people are going to test the waters here and see, is Caitlin Clark transcendent enough to make me care about this new league, this professional league, which a lot of Iowans don't care that much about outside the NFL, professional leagues. We don't have a professional team.
You know what? When you put it that way, I wonder if she can be. We keep comparing her to like Jordan, right? And John Miller, I've seen his thrown out. It's really interesting that this crop of WNBA draftees could be like what Bird and Magic and Jordan did for the NBA. Like that's a great point. I wonder if Caitlin specifically is going to be more. I think best case for the WNBA and the growth of women's basketball is if she's more like Tiger Woods. And hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Before Tiger Woods, golfers weren't getting big endorsements. They weren't like when he started winning. And again, there's this polarizing nature to this man. You have his kind of weird, crazy dad in the background, military, there were all these and let's be honest, he was a black golfer who looked like a linebacker, and all of a sudden he's crushing it 320 yards down the fairway, and we're all like, wow, this guy's awesome. And all of a sudden, everybody started making more money because he brought so many more eyeballs to the table. And then he had Phil, right? And Phil comes along, and Phil's kind of his pseudo-rival, this rich white dude who's left-handed, and he's mouthy. We all know about Phil, runs his mouth or he can't keep his mouth shut. He was the perfect semi-rival type thing to him. It was great. Tiger versus Phil, and then you had your David Duvals and all the and it raised the profile of everybody. And I think maybe we have it all wrong, because it's just the whole comparing the WNBA straight to the NBA just doesn't really work because it's just so different.
And the NBA was already flying high because of Magic and Bird and what they did in the early 80s and then mid 80s and then Jordan takes over in the he starts winning titles in the 90s, and then it's just skyrocketing. Tiger Woods elevated the PGA Tour and golf itself instantly. I mean,
to a totally
the impact
different
it
level.
had on
Yeah.
just youth getting involved in golf. And that might very well be what we see with Caitlin Clark and youngsters wanting even more, young girls wanting even more to get involved in basketball. And the TV viewership is a perfect example of that. What the hell happened? You just turned around like someone had just opened the door and yelled out a blood-curdling scream.
The dog came in.
Oh.
I got the dog with me today. Yeah. No, it's fascinating.
But I do think that the WNBA ratings are going to be way up this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Attendance is going to be way up this year. And they've got a new media deal coming down the road. And they're going to get a lot more money. They're saying right now double what they had before. I'd be surprised if it's not more than triple what they got before. It's what it should be. Because I do think Caitlin Clark and others, to a lesser extent, are going to bring a bunch of new eyeballs to the WNBA, and that's what the WNBA needs. They've had their little core. It hasn't been big. They've had their people that have supported this league and that have loved this league for a long time, but it's been kind of a flat line. And now, I mean, just look at the viewer. Did you see the chart on the WNBA draft viewership?
Mm-hmm.
It was, it was a bar graph,
it was insane,
and it was like every year it was like an inch high, an inch high, an inch high, an inch high, and all of a sudden this year, boom, it's a foot high because of Caitlin Clark.
I called our friend Stephanie Copley yesterday because she knows all this stuff really well. She's a really good source on all this, and we were talking about it kind of reminded me, our conversation, of like these conference realignment conversations with television. And she pointed out to me that like when you put these women's sports on like real channels, they do really good ratings for the most part, which we're starting to see more of. And when I mean real channels, it's like where you don't have to like seek it out, right? Like, and this is the case.
Yeah,
this is not a women's.
I don't know. You can make that argument with a lot of different things. Though.
Correct.
You put it on broadcast TV. If it's a hamster on a wheel, it's going to get
that's
much
my
better
point,
ratings
though.
than it does on ESPN2.
It's another thing though because of Caitlin. Like, what's the number now? Like that the Indiana Fever. Like, how many of their games are on national TV this year? Right. Like
it's like 36 of 40 games.
So their numbers
quote,
are
unquote,
going to get better.
National TV, but Ion is considered national TV.
Yeah, but
what the hell's Ion?
It's pretty much ESPN and ABC, right? That has the WNBA contract.
CBS Sports Network has 12 WNBA games. CBS
but
Sports
it's better than having to seek it out on wherever they've been, right? And like these regional sports networks and stuff like that.
Streaming, the league pass.
Well, that always drives me nuts, like in the conference realignment thing. So like Texas and Oklahoma and the Big 12 would always have the biggest numbers, but they were always playing on ABC and Fox when everybody else is on FS1 and FS2. And shit.
Look, it has not even mattered though for Caitlin Clark because you've seen the number, whether it's ABC or whether it's ESPN. Even the ESPN number is monstrous. Yes, Peacock, all of them. She's set records on. So people will seek out Caitlin Clark everywhere.
Correct.
Wherever it's at.
But with her profile, we saw this with Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin specifically, where they kind of became like these national celebrities just because they were playing beside Caitlin all the time.
Mm-hmm.
People would tune in to see Caitlin, and now there will be people who will watch Diana Taurasi play basketball for the first time.
Yes.
Because of Caitlin Clark. And is that right?
And that is not something that those goated players, those fans that have been there for a long time, they should push back on. Not that all of them are doing that, but some of them are. Like, where the hell have you been?
Yeah.
We've been playing great basketball
They need to welcome new people to the sport to help raise it.
Yeah, it's the same thing that you said before about NASCAR, about wrestling. If you get this kind of infusion, don't push back on it.
Yeah, don't be defensive and sensitive. Like, don't yell at them. Like,
because it's only a good thing for you and everybody.
Yeah.
This league's going to expand. They want to get to 16 teams in the next 3 or 4 years.
God, it'd be sick if we could get one here.
I know.
I don't think we will, but it'd be. I just think the market's too small.
Agree, because when you look, I was talking to Andy Fales about this yesterday. When you look at the markets, they're all the biggest markets in the country outside of Vegas. Vegas is his own little beast now.
Yeah.
And Vegas, smallest market, is the team that sells out all the games. I mean, they are also the best team in the league.
Two guys here on Iowa Everywhere. We are presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery in the Channel Seed Studios. Iowa Event Center would be a great place to host a WNBA team. Is Kane Brown tonight? I believe Kane Brown is tonight.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What else we got? Is Tyler Hubbard, is he the old Florida Georgia Lion guy?
Yes.
I like Tyler Hubbard, too. Isn't he the guy that sings 5'9", brown eyes in a sundress, loves Tim McGraw in a small town accent? Is that him?
That's Gary Allen.
Oh, shut up, Aiden. That's good. That's a good joke, Aiden. I'm just sitting here watching airplanes.
You want to know what's funny, Hassel? Is I think I'm taking my daughter, my oldest, is getting really into music. Like I have a feeling we're starting to she's 9, and they start to really get interest, and their personalities are kind of there. Music is going to be her thing, and she loves watching country music concerts and stuff on YouTube. Gary Allen is going to be in Ottumwa.
With nothing on but the radio.
I think I'm going to take her. Do you want to fly up here and go with us to watch Gary Allen?
No, I don't.
Go to Ottumwa for a Friday night?
If it was, who's the guy that I always mistaken for that sings those songs, the radio song and the airport song? What's his name?
That's Gary Allen.
No. What?
That's
I'm
Gary
thinking
Allen.
George Strait.
That's a sin.
God damn it. So this whole time I was thinking of George Strait.
You're going to go straight to hell if you keep slandering George Strait like that.
Yes, I do like Gary Allen. I don't care about George Strait's too old school. Can I ask you, Williams, why? I've been wanting to ask this. Why do you post the song you're listening to?
I don't know. I just started
Twitter?
doing it 10 years ago, and and people seem to like it, and so now
Who the hell likes that?
A lot of people do.
Yeah, listening to Troubadour.
It gets a lot of people like it, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I started doing that. I did it one time, and I continued to do it.
Andrew Downs used to do that too. I don't know if he still does. Yeah, I don't know.
All right,
copied him or he copied you. I don't know. One of the other.
We have a lot to get to before we dig into Van Winkle gate.
Yeah.
So the Iowa women got a huge commitment yesterday. Probably the best portal prospect in the entire country.
And again, this is the Caitlin Clark effect. This does not happen without Caitlin Clark.
This is great job out of Lisa Bluter to capitalize on that, right? And so you get probably the best transfer in the country, one of the best scorers in the country, and Lucy Olsen from Villanova. The one interesting part of this, and I'm sure Bluter will figure it out, she's a very different player than Caitlin was. Just a 28% three-point shooter, more of a slasher, and this is a grand slam, but I just think I saw a lot of Caitlin Clark's replacement. I wouldn't quite go there. This isn't a logo 3 shooter type. This will be a different looking Iowa team behind Lucy Olsen next year.
Nobody can be Caitlin Clark. Nobody's going to have that range. But when you score as much as Caitlin did, when you account for so much of the other scoring as Caitlin did, you need you got big holes to fill there. You need somebody who's going to come in and pick up some of that slack. And Lucy Olsen, one of the highest scorers in the country, 3rd in the nation, 23 a game. She also dished out about 4 assists a game. She is going to help do that. No one, I would hope, is going to expect her to come in and be, the Caitlin Clark replacement. She is just going to help fill that massive hole.
No doubt. So the Iowa men also, so this was a big day for Iowa basketball. They get this Morehead State point guard, Drew Thelwell, I believe is how his last name is pronounced.
This is the most exciting transfer Iowa's gotten in a while. Usually it's the the Ben Crickeys of the world.
I watched him play in Omaha. He's a good player.
Oh, yeah,
I saw him.
They played against Illinois.
Yeah, I watched him play 2 games. He's a good player. I mean, I think what I like the most is, I'm kind of waiting on Sanford. I don't know what the rumblings are out there, but the latest Giovanni mock draft at ESPN has Sanford. He's like the 5th pick in the 2nd round.
And if there are mocks and there are people that think he's going to go that early in the 2nd round, I'm sure he's gone. If that's the case,
If Sanford's there with Freeman and Dix, like, this is a really good pickup. This is a guy who can distribute. He's probably, best point guard they've had since what? Without even playing a game. Like, they haven't had point guards. That's been
Look, I don't know how good he's going to
problem.
be. I'm just telling you, this is as excited as I've been for a transfer, for a player. This isn't a freshman. This is an established guy, led his team to a championship in the NCAA tournament. He was great in the conference tournament to get them into the NCAA tournament.
I'm surprised, though, that he would take a pay cut to go from Morehead State to Iowa. And you guys tell me there's just no money there,
I promise you, as little money as Iowa has to spend on players, there's far less at Morehead State. Have you seen their facilities, their home crowds?
I was kidding.
This is the kind of guy you can get.
Tony Perkins going to Missouri.
And he says it had nothing to do with the money. Kind of got into it.
Really
with
wanted
some
away from Iowa.
Iowa fans. He was kind of going back and forth on Twitter with some Iowa fans about that and saying if it was about the money, I would have left years ago. He wouldn't have gotten nearly as much money years ago. He really upped his game this past season and became more valuable.
Fans really need to stop going at players on social media like that.
And it's usually the burner accounts that
it's like,
it's not your real name.
Well, who cares if it's about the money?
Can you explain something to me? Zoom in on that, guys, on the trophy. What is this trophy? It says, does that say 2019 Division I National Champion?
That's a bad Photoshop is what that is, my friend.
But why is that trophy there? It's 2019, correct? Is that what that says?
Yeah, and that would have been Virginia won that year, I think.
What is that?
I'll tell you what they did. Somebody in their basketball office made a graphic for Tony Perkins to tweet out or whatever.
Yeah.
And they Googled NCAA college basketball trophy, cut it out, and photoshopped it into there. They're showing that they're going to win a national championship under the tutelage of Tony Perkins, and that's a bad photo. That is exactly what happened right there, I promise you. That was some lower level member of that basketball coaching staff, like a GA or somebody, just did a bad Photoshop.
I was trying to read
You're
into
exactly
it.
right. You're exactly. I literally Googled NCAA D1 trophy
That's
basketball.
the first thing that comes up?
And yeah, the first one that comes up is the
2019 trophy.
Yeah.
Been doing this for too long, boys.
Well,
look at there it is.
Look, you ask why he would go to Missouri. What they went winless in the SEC last season?
It certainly didn't work out for Caleb Grill.
But let's just think back a couple of years ago. Iowa State went from winless in the Big 12 to the Sweet 16. This is a new era. This is a new age. Just because he went to Missouri and Missouri was terrible last year doesn't mean they're going to be terrible this year with pickups like
right.
this.
Yeah.
And Missouri clearly has a backing from their basketball fans. They clearly I saw some of their home games last year. Even with a winless team, they had oftentimes a better atmosphere in that building than Iowa had at Carver. They've got buy-in. That's a basketball state. Missouri. So I don't know how much money he got. I don't know if it was $500,000. And I'm not going to say it was all about the money for Tony Perkins. He probably could have gone somewhere else and gotten more. But I don't fault him at all.
No, I don't either.
You got 1 year left. go get some money because nothing is promised to you at the next level, whether it's in Europe or the G League, what have you.
Matt, can you pull up the Fran Fraschilla tweet? It should be the last thing on my feed. I retweeted it this morning. I thought it was a great point, and this is where the bubble is going to be. Fran points out that there's going to be a lot of coaches getting fired in the next couple of years. Here, I'll read the tweet for those of you on the feed, on the podcast feed. In the next year or two, coaches will be getting fired because of NIL and the portal. Boosters who have contributed to the collectives will ask, how do we pay a guy $500,000 for averaging 6 points and 4 rebounds per game? It's different than swinging and missing on freshmen. By the way, good for the kids. But he's exactly right. Like this free agency market is completely out of control in college basketball. And like people always say, well, where's the bubble? Oh, these people are going to keep throwing. These rich guys are just, no, they're not. Like they didn't get rich like that by being idiots and just pissing away their money all the time.
They're doing it so far, and it's still going up. Like there hasn't been that pushback yet.
I think that I could be wrong. I thought this last year. I didn't. I thought we maybe had a year or two to go. But like, I think we are at the absolute peak right now. This is the top of the market, in my opinion.
Here's what will potentially help change things is what came out yesterday from the NCAA, that they are now on their way to allowing the actual universities and the athletic departments to set the kids up with NIL deals, which will allow, I think, take some of the pressure off of the fans. Because now they'll be, in theory, yes. Because now they'll be able to direct these players into more money with these. Help me explain, because you're better at this than I am.
Well,
what exactly went down yesterday? Because we talked to Bloom about this.
So in the past, it's been like even though it's been happening, it's been technically illegal for these universities and athletic departments to line up players with NIL deals. So like if a player came to visit Iowa or Iowa State, like the coaches couldn't say, hey, we're going to line you up with John Deere and get you paid $1 million to endorse John Deere. So now so when you're listening to the Hawkeye or Cyclone Radio Network, or where you're watching a game on the school's like Learfield affiliate, whoever handles all the media rights for the schools, can now go to Pioneer Seed, or I'm just trying to think of like these ones that are all over Kinnick and Jack Trice, like Hy-Vee or Fairway.
They can now go to Fairway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Set Fairway up. They could say Iowa could go in the transfer portal,
and we're going to get you a deal
with Fairway. And say, hey, if we bring this guy in, will you pledge $100,000?
Correct. Yeah. So like in the past, like all the like things you would see with athletes and stuff would be strictly from the collective or the athlete and the athlete's representatives themselves. So like I know, like Caitlin, for instance, her mom handled a lot of it, and then the bigger she got, I know that they have other help now, but now it could be like the University of Iowa selling Caitlin Clark to, hey, Nike's our partner. Let's work with this. Or what will be interesting though, and this has always been why there has to be some sort of protection for the student athletes, and they're still not, is there's still bad actors. Like these athletic departments still have bills to pay. It's a thing that like at the end of the day, like, well, you can say, well, Iowa's making $100 million in television revenue. They should be able to pay for this stuff. Yeah, but they've also budgeted for that. And the football staff has 60 members of the coaching staff, right? And like we've gotten so bloated that they still have to pay these people, or you're going to have massive layoffs. So like there's not a lot of incentive in the current setup for these schools to go out there. And so if you have a $100,000 deal with Fairway and now Caitlin Clark's going to get 40 of that, well, that's 40 less to go to the athletic department. So you see what I'm saying? There's still not a ton of incentive to do this. There's got to be some sort of revenue sharing model with like a collective bargaining agreement for the players.
Another thing that came out yesterday from this new governance that hasn't officially been passed but is on its way is the transfer rules. It now appears as though they are going to allow as many transfers as you want and immediate eligibility every single time you transfer, which is, in my opinion, going to be horrible. I mean, we're already seeing it. I mean, so in essence, Caden Proctor he's going to go back to Alabama. He can go back into the portal next season, go wherever he wants.
Yep.
He could come back to Iowa,
which I hate,
for a few months, and then re-enter again and go back to Alabama. Unlimited and immediate eligibility. So now you're going to have players that will just, and we've already seen this to a lesser extent, but I think it's going to happen more. You're going to see players go into the portal just for the hell of it, and just to see what they could get elsewhere. They might not have any problem with where they're at, with what they're getting paid right now, but maybe I put my name in the portal and I get an offer that's better than what I'm making now. I'm going to take that, even if you're 100% fine with where you're at. Because why not?
I don't have the answer to it, but I do think that we eventually get to the point where, at least in football, where these are club teams and they have actual contracts.
Yeah.
That's where I think we'll get. I don't know about basketball. That's a different. But I to me, like, that's the only way. And it's better for the players. Like,
basketball is a different animal, though, Williams. Even though all the money, is in football, technically, these basketball players stand to make much more because there are far fewer of them.
And you see their face. That's the other thing.
Yes, more marketable.
Yeah.
So that is why a guy like Tony Perkins is valued at $500,000 in the transfer. What's Tony Perkins' equivalent in college football? A wide receiver that had 40 catches last year?
Probably.
He's not worth $500,000 in the portal.
No. I mean, just stack it up. It's like if there was a big draft in college basketball, where would Tony Perkins get taken?
Because it's not what the average value. There are a lot of people that have pushed back on what Fran said. That he's worth $500,000. That's not the average. That's not like, there's 10 schools that are offering and $500,000. No, what you're worth is what the one school's highest amount is. If one school will pay you that, that's what you're worth.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the quarterback
and that's
market
all
in
it
the
takes.
NFL. It's like a supply and demand thing. And yeah, I mean,
we know for a fact that there are other players who had maybe a lesser impact to their team than Tony Perkins did last season that are getting even more than that in the portal, more than $500,000.
We got to get to Van Winkle.
Yeah, we're running out of time here.
So here's the situation. Eclipse was happening. If you're new to the show, I'm just going to lay it all out.
He was going to try to do the jerk of totality, right?
Apparently, I don't know.
That's why they wouldn't give him the glasses. He went to the library. He was going to do the jerk of totality in front of all the kids.
Bondurant Library, and they had promoted that they're having an event for the kids, for the children. For the children.
Can I pull up my receipts quick while you're talking about this?
Hold on, let me set the table, and then you're going to have your time, Van
yourself.
Winkle.
Good God.
And so my wife and youngest daughter were already at the library, set up, ready to watch the eclipse. They got in their glasses. I'm picking up my oldest at school, and I'm going to take her there. She's so excited to see this eclipse. She's an intellect. She's this. And they didn't have any glasses. No glasses left. Cameron couldn't watch the eclipse. She had to share glasses. Well, come to find out, Ashley's like, well, yeah, Van Winkle was here, and it was really awkward. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, he got into it with... See, I didn't have any glasses either. I had to use this calendar.
Calendar?
I did that on purpose, believe it or not.
What? What is that thing again? It's a bowl.
It's like a dish strainer. It's called a colander.
Wait, that's not.
That's a strainer. It's for
That's not
straining
you
pasta.
at the library though. Is
No,
it?
that's outside of my house because there weren't any glasses left at the library, so I had to use that thing.
God, you look like such an idiot in this picture.
So, as the story was told to me by multiple sources, okay, I am a professional journalist, investigative reporting here. Van Winkle goes to the librarian, asks for glasses, and she's didn't want to give it to him because they're 4 kids and he didn't have a child with him. And Van Winkle basically takes it from her anyways and makes a comment about, well, I pay taxes here.
No.
There's a total dick. Like, in the library.
I could see him saying that, though.
Shames
I can
the
hear
librarian.
Him. Well, I pay taxes.
Shames, I pay your salary.
Yeah. You wouldn't be here
Shames
if
the
it wasn't
woman
for me.
and basically rips it away from her like Jerry did the old woman with the marble rye in Seinfeld. And, you know, a lot of people were talking about it later on, about that guy, the big gangly looking fellow comes in. And again, like, they were saving him for all the kids who were about to get out of school, and there weren't any left for the kids.
Because Van Winks is intimidating.
Yeah,
he
very
really
intimidating.
is. Like to a library, like an old library woman. I mean, just this 6'3" guy comes in with a beard.
She was like, and this librarian was like in her 70s too, from what I understand.
Hey, where's those glasses at?
Am I going to get any chance to defend myself?
All right,
yeah, you got
what do you
it
have
right
to say
now.
for yourself?
Okay,
Why did
so
you do this?
So the day of the eclipse, it starts getting dark in Bondere, and I go, okay, well, I don't have any glasses, so I'm on Facebook. I'm scrolling.
I'm gonna go to raid the library for glasses.
And I see this Facebook event from our public library, which I pay my taxes to. That is correct.
There he goes.
Here we go.
Supporting this library.
All
And
right,
it
wing
says
Van Winky.
it says on the event, free solar eclipse viewing glasses available for pickup while supplies last.
Oh, yeah, while supplies last. Okay, all right.
And so I look in the fine print of the details, and it says, we will have solar viewing glasses available for all attendees. We will also live stream the event. We will have snacks and a craft planned for this event. Don't miss out. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong slide. All attendees. Do you see anywhere
So-
where that says kids only? I do not.
Can I rebut?
The kids were in school.
Can I rebut?
Yes.
I saw the same note earlier. I had been on a hunt for eclipse glasses, and they've been sold out everywhere I had gone. And I called the library, and the same lady, hello, Bondurant Library.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her, I was like, hey, do you guys have some eclipse glasses like I can come pick up? And she said, no, they are for attendees only. Meaning you can't just come and pick up these eclipse glasses.
Attendees only, meaning people, you have to show up. You were just calling. You didn't show up.
So wait, Van Winks, you
Okay, let
went
me finish
there-
the story.
You went there to grab the glasses and then go back home?
No, I
Yes,
parked.
that's exactly
I parked
what
at
he
the
did.
eclipse. I parked at the library about 5 minutes before the eclipse was at its peak totality, right? So I walk into the library because I see Chris's wife and his daughter, beautiful daughter out there with their glasses, and I said, I need to get a pair of those. And Ashley said, yeah, they're inside. They're handing them out. And so I walk in the library. There's a lady inside there, and Chris is right. She did not want to give me the glasses. And I said, are these for kids only? And she kind of just looked at me. She stared at me. And she said, here you go.
What?
She did not. She was, I don't know. I didn't. Apparently, I missed the memo that it was only for kids.
Well, so you
I think
bullied her into giving you a pair?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I kind of did, but I didn't think it was bullying at the time. The eclipse was like 2 minutes away. I'm like, I need my glasses. And the glasses were going to go to waste if somebody didn't take. She had a stack of glasses.
They weren't
And on
going
the
to
side-
waste because none of the kids were out of school yet, Matt. They got out at 2 that day. They were all on their way.
Well, they weren't going to see the full effect anyway.
Well, if they're not going to see the full effect, give me the goddamn thing so I can see it.
The glasses on the side said 2017 eclipse glasses. So these things were 7 years old.
2017?
They were from the last eclipse. Hopefully they were okay. My eyes seem okay, I guess. They didn't expire.
Our buddy Adam from Making Mem says 2024, the year of the librarian power trip. The Kindle really put them on edge.
I love our library. They do a fantastic job.
I go to our library like once a week and just sit there and work in the middle of the day. I love it.
I don't understand libraries. I tried to
What
go.
do you mean?
Andy Fales always raves about the library, and so I remember back in like 2014, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna go to the West Hartford Library. It looks nice. I'm gonna go in there. I walked in there, and it was just sterile.
It's supposed to be quiet. What do you want?
A bunch of
playing Black Eyed Peas in the back.
Weird.
Like, what do you?
What do you do? You're really gonna go in there, grab a book, and sit down and read?
Sure.
Yeah, so here's my one
me a
beef with the
break.
Bondurant library is there's
watch
way
out.
too many snot-nosed kids that show up after school and play on the computers. They got to get that under control.
There's computers in there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, the library's not about going and playing on a computer.
No, it's not supposed to be.
Okay, so we've gotten to the bottom of Van Wink's bullying the librarian.
So he's basically admitted guilt, is how
Yes.
I understand this.
We've got to circle
Which I
back
appreciate, Matt. Thank you for being honest.
to a conversation that we had via text message about 2 months ago, where Van Wink's just starts screaming, "Ah! I don't know if I'm going to make the show tomorrow, guys. I just got bit by a dog."
All true.
There it
the
is.
bite.
And
This
then
happened.
we're
This happened on the first week of February. This was almost 3 months
we're
ago.
like, what? What?
Big
You got
show,
bit by a
like,
dog?
Right
Really?
in the middle of like March Madness chase, and Van Winkle's wanting to.
Look, and he's got a picture of it now. It looks like just like a tiny bruise. Is that your ass? He bit
That's
your
it.
ass?
That's my leg.
That's your ass
You
cheek.
can see my shoe.
That's your pants pulled down.
Well, I was going to check the mail, and this dog attacked me. Bit my leg. And
So
my
what
wife
kind of
made me
dog
call
was it?
my wife made me call animal services.
Are you shitting me? You did not. You did not do that.
She wanted to make sure the dog was up to date on its rabies vaccine. William's wife's a veterinarian. She would have said the same thing.
Wait, why didn't
no,
you just
'cause-
ask who the dog was with somebody?
Call
right?
animal services. They're going to kill that dog.
Right.
Well, what happened was the dog bit me through my jeans, and I didn't really realize
It
was
didn't even puncture your skin. Look at that.
there's skin pulled up.
So-
I
Oh,
just
for God's sake.
So you called animal services on your neighbor's dog?
yeah,
Wait
Is
a
that
second.
dog still around?
it is.
Okay, that's good.
It's like 17
Wait.
years old too.
So instead of just asking the woman, or who, I presume it was a woman, right? That was with the dog.
was, yeah.
You could have just said, "Hey, just want to make sure your dog's up to date on the vaccines." That wasn't enough for you. You had to call
She could have been
animal
lying.
services and demand a printout of the dog's most recent vet trip to make sure
Well, I don't
that
know
the
this-
dog was up to date on its
I don't know
vaccines.
this neighbor. I don't know this neighbor, so we wanted to have somebody go down there to avoid any confrontation.
Don't you think this neighbor found out that you went through back channels
I don't know.
to
I don't
try to
care.
get the dog put down?
No, I did not try and get the dog put
Don't
down.
you understand what happens when you call animal control?
No,
They're sitting there by the phone every day, salivating, waiting for someone to call to go just attack a dog
Here's
and
the
put it
thing.
down.
Here's the thing.
Animal services, what happened? Where is it?
It could have been my kid that got bit. It could have been anyone's kid that got
It
bit at
wasn't.
the
It was
mailbox.
you.
But it could have. What if another kid's checking the mailbox and the dog's
So what?
there?
So the kid has a little bruise on his ass. So what? What kind of dog was it?
I don't even. It was some sort of mixed terrier.
A little terrier.
Yeah, it was a terrier.
Bit you in the ass and gave you a little bruise. And you
wanna know?
call
You wanna know?
animal services on
I actually kind of have a history with dogs biting me. When I was a kid, my friend's dog bit me on the nose, and they had to give their dog away.
What? What the hell?
Because I was the second person that had bit. I should probably take.
And
this
you went to
picture off.
animal services as a kid?
I didn't. They did. They had to report it.
Wait, they reported their own dog?
Yeah, because it had bitten a few other people, and I think
Well,
they just
that's
found
a
it.
good point.
That's a family that's just looking to get rid of their dog.
English makes a good point that you just screwed these people on their homeowners insurance when you called animal services about this dog. Just jacked it way up.
Anything else you want
Because
to throw
animal
at me
services,
today?
they report everything.
Look,
why do you always got to be so by the book, Van Winks?
Yeah, I love dogs.
When I was a kid, dogs bit you all the time. I was always getting bit. I got bit by a dog at the babysitter's. It just ruined my finger. Almost had to have surgery.
Ooh. Did you call animal services?
No. That's what dogs did. They bit you every now and then.
Probably cried like
It's
a little
good
baby,
for you.
though.
Dogs bit you. I had classmates that bit me.
Yeah,
I had a kid
biting
in first
really
grade.
kind of lost its way.
I had a classmate in first grade. I won't say his name. He weighed 100 pounds in first grade.
Is this the guy who put the Oreo in his pubic region?
No. This guy, I was wearing a winter coat with a big sweater. He bit me through the coat, through the sweater, and drew blood on my arm. This was a guy.
Why?
Just for the hell of it. Just for the hell of it. This was a guy. We had a nun as a teacher.
Of course
Her name was
did.
Sister Elia.
The nun
And
bit you?
The nun didn't bite me, but he bit me. But this was a guy. This is a separate story. But this guy stood up in front of the entire class one day, and he said, "I will have sex with every girl in this school, including Amanda Wetstein."
I'm so glad my kids go to public school.
The nun took him in the back and just spanked the hell out of him.
Oh, my God. She can do
Just spanked his ass. But he liked it. He was one of those kids that liked that kind of stuff. He's probably one of those guys that asks you to choke him now. Choke me, yeah. He was getting off in first grade on the nun spanking him. And Van Winks, if he was there, he'd report the nun. The nun would get sent away. Oh, it's just what happened when you were a kid. Dogs bit you, nuns spanked you.
Van Winks is right. Like, my wife would be, I don't know if she'd be like the animal services thing, but she would definitely want to check on the rabies thing there.
Well,
Yeah, what if I show up to the show and I'm just salivating and my mouth's foaming?
If this happened to me, I would go to the person who owned the dog and say, "Listen, I'm not. It's okay. I'm all right. I'm not going to report anything. I just want to make sure your dog is up to date on his vaccines." And the person would be like, "Oh, thank you so much. Yes, you have nothing to worry about. Dog's up to date." And Van Wink would be like, "Oh, all right, yeah.
No,
well, prove
okay.
it.
Well, okay.
Let me see the receipts."
So what ended up happening is the animal control officer went over just to confirm everything, make sure everything's okay.
Did
with
it have
their
a
dog.
gun?
What?
Did the officer have a gun?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But maybe. But they ended up confirming they checked with the veterinarian that their vaccines are up to date, but they made the dog stay in the house quarantined for 10 days. Just to make sure there wasn't
my God.
some sort of
What?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Your neighbors hate you now. They
Van
think
Winks.
you guys
The librarian hates me, the neighbors hate I got to move.
unbelievable.
I don't feel like I know Van Winks anymore, really.
The comment section of this show has been just one of the great joys of my life.
Yeah, my best friend's in the comments just throwing me under the bus.
Who's your best friend?
Drew.
Drew is your best
Says
friend?
I'm a known dog hater, which is false.
Clearly you are.
God, there's so many funny comments in here. If you guys are watching or if you're listening later on, you guys should go back and read them. So the last story we had for you guys today is another. We're catching up with Van Winkle.
What the hell's
here.
that? Is that a snot-nosed kid again?
What are you looking at?
Hey, I have an idea, Matt. Why don't you... Hi, Isley. Hi, Isley. Why don't you show Isley one of these weird videos?
Oh, yeah.
Were you watching this video the
and
other
now
day?
there's this. Van Winks is letting his kids watch porn.
What
Are you watching this?
No.
What the hell? It's ASMR.
So this is like a new fad that these kids are into. They're watching these people
They're
eat
watching
gummies.
these I don't know, these like,
Do you like
how would
this?
you describe this one? Blonde hair, big lips,
It's weak.
bunch of makeup. And the thing that you showed me, Van Winks, she was eating like a.
She's sucking that.
Oh my God! What? The one you showed me, she was eating a very phallic-shaped, actually sucking on a phallic-shaped object. And he's like, "Yeah, my kids were watching this over the weekend." What is wrong with people?
I bet you this woman makes more than both of us combined.
Oh, in one show.
Yeah.
All right, enough. Can we turn that off?
No, keep it going. I like
Who
this.
the hell wants to hear this? What are these things? Like decorative soaps that she's eating? That's like the soap that was at my grandma's house when I was a kid. It was shaped like a seashell. Enough of this, please. This is terrible. Wow. Oh.
Van Winkle just comes back from California and he's just got all this. What is it? What is an ASMR? What is this?
ASMR is some kind of like people get off on sounds. Like they want to hear people.
That's what that is?
That's ASMR. And they like touch themselves to those sounds.
And Van Winkle's kids are watching it?
Yeah, apparently. He just openly admitted it.
Yeah, I show up. I'm at my mom's house, and all these cousins are in the side room on the TV watching this YouTuber that eats gummies with a microphone in her.
They're in the
mouth.
basement. Hey, make sure nobody comes down. We've all done that in our past, right?
These kids. Don't let your kids get on YouTube. Don't let them watch two guys named Chris.
Retro Gamer Dad says autonomous sensory meridian response. Whatever the hell that is. It's a term used to describe tingling, static-like, or a goosebump sensation in response to specific triggering audio or visual stimuli. That's what Jeremy writes.
We need to do like one of those every show. From
No,
now
we
on.
don't.
Aiden, that's your new project.
So
GA
Van Winks-
Cyclone says this is time to call child services on Van Winks.
This has been a very damning show for Van Winks. He's bullying old librarians.
Oh, what's going on here?
He's trying to get dogs put down, and his kids are watching porn stimuli.
Oh my gosh, I'm probably gonna die.
Okay, enough of this. I can't take it.
No, keep it going.
No, please don't.
Does she have that really big lipstick on? Like, is that supposed to be a...
I think it's supposed to turn people on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Spencer says if we do any more of this, he's turning it off. So please.
Well, we got to
Enough.
go anyways.
Yeah, we do. We're way over.
Man, I'm gonna have to recover from this show.
Man, we're thinking it's off season. We're really gonna have to dig for things to talk about. I have a lot more stories about the kid from first grade, by the way, that I'll have to get into. I haven't told the stories about the first grade classmate sticking his ass underneath the stall, asking to be kicked.
No. Man, you
He
got
would
a lot
stick-
of great stories.
He would stick his bare, because he would always have to take dumps like all day long. He would stick his bare ass underneath the stall, where it's down by the floor. And he would say, "Kick it!" And then we would just kick his ass as hard as we possibly could, and he liked it. He did. And my mom's listening right now, and she's like, "Yup, it's all true."
We got to get out of here. We'll be back on Monday. Two guys on Iowa everywhere.
Cheers to the weekend, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God, I need some Steeple Ridge right now. I need to drink a whole bottle.
I saw you
of
gave
it.
a bottle to Amber Alexander.
Yeah, I did. Gave the Iowa Everywhere bottle to Amber Alexander. Yeah, she took it home last night. So thanks to them as well. We'll be back on Monday. Thanks for watching, everybody.